Today is Sunday, April 18th of 2021. My name is Evan Hernandez, and I'm interviewing Belinda Mendoza, the South Texas Archives at Texas A&M University, Kingsville. This is part of the Voces of a Pandemic Oral History Project at Texas A&M University, Kingsville, and it is in partnership with the Voces Oral History Center at the University of Texas, Austin. Please know, Ms. Mendoza, that this recorded interview will be placed in the South Texas Archives at Texas A&M University, Kingsville, and shared with Voces Oral History Center at the University of Texas at Austin. If there is anything you do not wish to answer or talk about, especially given that your recording may appear online, I will honor your wishes. Also, if there is something you want to talk about, please bring it up and we will talk about it.
Okay.
Because we are not interviewing this interview in person, I need to record you consenting. So I'll ask you a series of 6 questions. Please say, yes, I agree, or no, I do not agree. After each one, there are 4 questions we need to make sure you agree to before we go on. South Texas Archives at Texas A&M University, Kingsville wishes to archive your interview along with any other photographs or other documentation at the South Texas Archives at Texas A&M University, Kingsville. We will retain copyright of the interview and any other materials you donate to the South Texas Archives at Texas A&M University, Kingsville. Question number 1. Do you give us consent to archive your interview and your materials at Jernigan Library at Texas A&M University in Kingsville?
Yes, I do.
Number 2, do you grant South Texas Archives at the Jernigan Library at Texas A&M University, Kingsville copyright over the interview and any material you provide?
Yes, I do.
Number 3, do you agree to allow South Texas Archives at Jernigan Library at Texas A&M University, Kingsville to post this interview on the internet where it may be viewed by people around the world?
Yes, I do.
4, do you grant South Texas Archives at Jernigan Library at the Texas A&M University, Kingsville, consent to share your interview and your materials with Voces Oral History Center at the University of Texas at Austin for inclusion of the Voces of a Pandemic Oral History Project, which will include posting the interview on the internet?
Yes, I do.
Okay. We have many questions in a pre-interview form that we have already filled out. We use that information from the pre-interview form to help in research. This entire form is kept in a secure Voces server at the University of Texas in Austin. The final storing of the pre-interview form will be at South Texas Archives at Jernigan Library here in Texas A&M University, Kingsville. We will have stripped out any contact information for yourself or for family members, so that will not be part of your public file. Your public file will only be accessible at Jernigan Library. Question number 5. Do you wish for us to share the rest of your interview in the public file available to researchers at South Texas Archives and Jernigan Library at Texas A&M University, Kingsville?
Yes.
6. On occasion, Voces receives requests from journalists who wish to contact our interview subjects. We only deal with legitimate news outlets, but do you give consent for us to share your phone number or email with journalists?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, well, let me get the questions real quick. Okay. Okay, so tell me a little bit about your experience with COVID-19.
Well, that was scary because my son had it in the beginning and we didn't even know it. And where he was at, they couldn't diagnose it because we still didn't know about it. And he came home for spring break and stayed home. And it took him about a month and a half to feel better. And I just medicated him and gave him hot soups and teas, wishing that he would get better, not knowing that it was COVID when in all actuality it was. We've had several friends and family contracting this disease, some dying. So it's scary that a lot of people aren't taking it seriously.
I understand. How did you first learn about COVID-19?
On the news,
What was your initial reaction about it?
I didn't know what to think. I was definitely scared, hoping that it would go away the way that we were told it was just like the flu and it would go away. But then seeing hundreds of thousands of people losing their lives, it's scary.
At what point and how did you realize that this was serious?
When they were having to get refrigerated trucks to put all the bodies because people weren't taking it serious.
Yeah, I remember all of that. How has COVID-19 impacted you and your family?
Well, my mom lives with me, and she's elderly. So every day disinfect, constantly washing hands, making sure nobody would come in contact with her, taking care of her, going to the grocery store by myself. And when I would get home, making sure I wiped off all the containers and everything that I would bring in, because of course I didn't want her to get sick.
How is going out into the world during COVID-19 and how is it different from pre-COVID?
Well, we have to make sure we keep our masks. I keep 2 boxes in my car at all times, just in case I forget mine at home. And actually, I think I'm going to make that a way of living now because I'm so scared of it. When before we could be free to do whatever we wanted to and not worry about getting sick or getting other people sick. Now everybody wants their freedom, so I can't take care of that. I can only take care of me and mine. So we'll be wearing masks.
Okay. Has your family changed what you take with you and or when you leave your home?
Yes, of course, we take our masks.
Okay.
When before we didn't have to worry about that. And our antibacterial.
How has COVID-19 changed the way you and your family receive education?
That is so difficult for my child because I would prefer to have him home safe with me, knowing that he's in a clean environment and he has to be at school because he has to be at labs and things that he has to be out around other people. So that does worry me that he'll catch COVID again.
What are some challenges your children face as they move more classes online?
Well, I think sometimes it's more difficult to learn virtually than in person. And I'm lucky to have a college student, not a high school or elementary or middle school child, because I think it's more difficult for them than it would be for a college student, because they're still not prepared to learn virtually, and then they have to have all those state exams and whatever they have to do. But my child has a few classes online that he has to do virtually, but he also has to go in to do his labs because that's his major.
Mhm. Okay. How, if at all, has any school helped your community because of COVID-19?
The schools here in my community, they've been available for shots, for COVID tests. Some have given food to children who go to school so that they can make sure that they're receiving some kind of nourishment, because it's been so difficult at times to find food, and then people without jobs not being able to afford it. So some schools have gone that extra mile to provide food for their students.
What kind of concerns or questions about healthcare have emerged as a result of COVID-19?
Oh, people are saying that the vaccines are a way to track us, putting fear into people so that we don't take the vaccine. Um, the government tracks us regardless with our cell phones.
Mhm.
So the vaccines, some people say that they're just a way to kill us off. Um, if they wanted to kill us off like that, they would have made bombs or something and just killed us all off. But I rather take the vaccine to make sure that I'm okay, to be taking care of my mom. So I make sure that everyone in my household and my college student have our vaccines, because I'd rather be safe than sorry and protect others as well as myself.
About the vaccines, did any of y'all have problems getting registered to get one?
There was a long wait list. I didn't have a problem for my mom
Mhm.
because the hospital she had been in, they sent me the invitation and they gave her vaccine right away. I waited maybe a week or so after she did when they called me to get mine. Um, it took my son and my husband maybe 2 or 3 weeks
Mhm.
after I got my final shot for them to get their first shot. And then they got their second shot 3 weeks later.
Did anybody in the household have any problems with the first or second vaccine?
And no one had problems with the first vaccine. I was the only one that got the Moderna,
Mhm.
and I was fine the day of the vaccine. The next day is when I felt like body aches, like the flu symptoms.
Mhm.
Um, and I was just dragging. I wanted to be in bed because I couldn't focus on anything, and just the body aches were terrible.
Mhm.
But that just lasted 24 hours, and then the next day I was fine. And my arm was kind of sore. It was maybe for 2 or 3 days, but nothing that I couldn't tolerate.
Okay. How do you believe politics affected how COVID-19 has been handled?
If it would have been taken care of from the beginning,
Mhm.
um, and taken seriously by our president, um, I think maybe a lot of people wouldn't have lost their lives.
Mhm.
And that's hard because we've lost a few.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
How has COVID affected politics in your area?
Um, uh, some mayors have gone the extra mile
Mhm.
to help the citizens. Sadly, I live in Center City, and our mayor really, I haven't heard anything from her. They've had a few of the food distributions here in Jacinto City, but uh, her per se, she hasn't said anything to the community. Um, the state representatives have helped with food distribution, and the county judge has been awesome. Lina Hidalgo is very concerned for her citizens, and she makes sure that there's plenty of places where we can get tested. And now anybody who wants a shot and can get a shot can just call or register online and choose the date and time that they want to get their shot for anyone 16 and over, of course. And she will not lift the red because she says that she'd rather be safe than sorry and not move it to orange or yellow because people are still getting sick.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. You said people were getting sick.
Yeah, because people are still getting sick, and uh, people want their freedoms when they don't realize that this is serious. They don't want to stay home anymore. They don't want to wear masks.
Okay. It's probably internet connection issues, but it's okay. You were saying? Sorry. Hello?
They're not taking it seriously because they want to have their freedoms and go clubbing to bars and not wear masks anywhere.
Hmm.
That's very dangerous for everyone, not just themselves.
Hmm. Okay. I know you don't work, but how has COVID-19 at least impacted your ex-husband's work?
He's a construction worker,
Hmm.
and I was very worried for him because he's out there. And with a lot of these people who are infected, that they don't have to say they have COVID, or they're asymptomatic. And I would always tell him, make sure you use a mask, if possible, two masks, because I'm just that way. Um, make sure that you disinfect your equipment. Make sure that you have plenty of the hand sanitizer,
Hmm.
um, because you're still my kid's dad, and they need you, and we don't need you to get sick like that.
Do you have any worries regarding your or any of your family members' documentation status? I know it's a sensitive subject, but there are some people who are.
No, no, I'm not concerned. Everything is good here.
Okay. Do you have any concerns about finances?
Yes, definitely. Having to take care of my mom is kind of difficult. We both live on fixed incomes, and when she gets sick, I mean, I have to be buying all different kinds of things to treat her, and I have to pay my house note and bills and stuff. So I barely live. I have to count my pennies. So yes, this has impacted us big time. And being that some medications aren't covered under the insurance.
Mhm. How has COVID-19 impacted your ability to financially contribute to your family? Like, how about family? How about sending money to family that doesn't live with you?
Well, being that I have my mom here,
Mhm.
uh, I used to be able to send my son at least $40 a month.
Mhm.
Now I can't send him anything. So he has to find ways to uh, make money, be it with his art or crocheting things, making things for people and selling them.
Mhm. How about how, if at all, have current social movements in conjunction with COVID-19 impacted your lifestyle?
Well, that is scary because, like I said, I mean, a lot of people want to live. We're all tired. We're all tired of having to be enclosed in our four walls per se,
Mhm.
and just doing the bare minimum to get outside. But yes, I mean, it's scary seeing all these people. I mean, protesting um, for everything. It's scary because, and then now also with the baseball games, people going to the stadiums and not wearing masks, and seeing all that is very, very scary. So I feel that the government should have had a better handle of the situation than they did. And maybe we wouldn't be going through all this right now. Maybe it would have already cleared up.
Mhm. Have you participated in any protests recently?
No, I can't risk my life for those who live with me.
Mhm. And lastly, is there anything else you would like to share with me about your experience with COVID-19 that I have may not asked about?
Well, I've had a lot of family members who were sick,
Mhm.
and my Nino died from it.
Mhm.
And one of my best friends died just a few days after her birthday.
I'm sorry.
And it's hard not being able to go to those funerals, or to
Mhm.
go to a funeral and have to stand back from the casket and not being able to say a proper goodbye. So people need to understand. I'm thinking that all these people who want their freedom who won't wear masks, who won't get vaccinated. It hasn't hit them.
Mhm.
So if only there were more education, maybe, and government mandating, maybe this would be better, better controlled.
Mhm. Yes, I
Please,
understand.
everyone get vaccinated. Please get vaccinated so that we can reach the herd immunity.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay, well, that concludes this interview. Thank you so much for your cooperation, Ms. Mendoza.
Thank you.